Twitter, don't do this to me. I keep forgetting to uncheck the Twitter box. Forgive me, Twitter. I have to delete all the stupid tweets. I've never deleted tweets before. And I have now been like deleting every day, and so abnormal to me. But hello everybody, welcome to this amazing video of Dead by Daylight. I am sick. Apparently my scratchy sore throat has really just been a bad omen that we should have seen coming. But news and life and discussions don't necessarily wait for anybody, and things have happened while I'm sick, so I rolled my way out of bed eventually, did a teeny amount of research, mostly because all of the stuff that I'm about to talk about today has been beaten to death and then it's like it's a dead horse, and now I'm still beating this puddle of what remains of this argument, which will never be addressed because I don't know why. I don't know why. Actually, I kind of know why. It's just people's stubbornness to want to address the issue, and instead of addressing the issue, we make our own cliques, and we do our own thing, and we just ignore the problem. That's usually how it goes. But today, OddStarvas and True Talent kind of passively aggressively got at each other. I think True Talent talks just in this general thing about something that's really unhealthy for the community, to which I 100% agree with. But, you know, in terms of just what he said in that small thing, not going anything above, I just kind of agree to an extent on a certain thing. OddStarvas fired back, though, and started a debate on hooks versus kills, as if there was one that is superior to the other, and has this whole debate between them, which really they don't. The whole that whole stance is misleading, because neither hooks nor kills are an actual problem in the game. Both of their issues have to relate back to what they consider a win. And that's probably the biggest part. See, every single video game in the world has rules which it defines that you play by. That's all a video game is. And usually within these rules, we make interesting decisions that make everything worked out the way they do. When you play Marvel vs. Capcom, you are playing a versus game, and the rules are set that you pick a character, you have certain movesets with each character, and the objective is to deplete your opponent's health to 0, to which you are given the de facto victory screen. Now, I'm feeling a little paler today. I feel like I should be double checking my webcam here. I think something's gone a little funky, I was gonna say, but I was gonna say fucky because I like saying that a lot. Hold on, let me triple check my webcam. It looks like I'm kind of that, or I really am just a pale ghost right now because I'm sick. So, but I don't like to look like that. I guess I'm just pale. Okay, whatever. I'm dying. So if this is my final Tyde talk, let it be known that, you know, I'm dying. So hope not. For God's sake, can't die yet. Anyways. We're gonna go over True Talent's side on the tweet, and then talk about OddStarvas' video, and then talk about why really none of it matters, and their points are actually extremely misleading to something that needs to be resolved midway. So first, to begin, we can actually really just look at OddStarvas' video, because he does include the tweet in it, and I don't have to go search for the tweet. There is a whole lot of things he brings up, but we don't need the full video. I just need his points. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that sucker up, and we'll begin to talk about it. Now, if anyone doesn't know, As we were just talking about Marvel vs. Capcom's win condition, Dead by Daylight has a very odd win condition that has changed since the beginning of its existence. And the beginning of its existence was originally blood points. If anyone remembers when this game came out, to win, you just needed blood points. You needed 10,000 for a minor win and 20,000 for a big win, a double win, double pip. The reason we know this to be a win is because in any video game, a ranking system is designed to separate the newbies from the veterans or the skilled players. That way, newer players coming in don't necessarily fight people who've been playing for hundreds and hundreds or thousands of hours. Because it's very unfair that in your first match you would fight a pro player. So if I ever started to play Marvel vs. Capcom, let's say, and it's my first time online, I better not be put up against the world's best online player, because then my experience is really bad, because I will be discouraged that I didn't even stand a chance. It's common, it's typical, that's usually how it goes. So in Dead by Daylight, we have this thing called the pip system. That is our wins. Our ranks are determined by getting pips. And to get a pip, originally it was blood points. For the killers, it swapped over to what's called the victory cube, which was actually just based on kills. And it was a mixture of kills and hooks, but if you got the kill, it gave you all the hooks regardless. So you needed 9 hooks and or 2 kills and a hook to pip, to win. Now, they did also add a safety guard called the Black Pip. This is more or less still a loss. It's just you didn't lose so bad you don't go down. It's almost like a draw, but it's also not a win. So in a sense, and due to this argument, I have to consider that a loss, because that Black Pip was designed there just so when people get put up against too strong of opponents, they would be knocked back down, and to prevent that, they put this Black Pip there. The Black Pip is actually arguably a terrible idea, because people now have trouble even going back down. So as much as we hate it, they introduced the Emblem System. The Emblem System is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen, because I hate how they handled it. For survivors, it's okay. For survivors, it kinda makes sense. But it's the killer side that's the worst. And that's why the hooks versus kills guide, or debate, is misleading. Because neither of those have anything to do with wins, but they are both a part of this pip system, and they're both required. And as much as one is arguing that 4K matters, and the other one argues that 12 hooks matter, if that is even the argument, like, let's just say for the sake of what I'm discussing, is both of those play 2 pieces into our pip system. And then we have 2 more pieces. We have the gatekeeper, Lightbringer for the survivor equivalent, and then we have chaser. 2 things that don't include hooks, but 2 also very important things. And this is where things are kind of like not good. Because the gatekeeper is actually out of the killer's hands. They actually want you to hold generators for 9 minutes, but as players like OddStarvas and True should already know, generators can happen within 3 minutes. And that's not up to you, the killer. It has nothing to do with what perks you run. You can slow it down, as Monto would say, just a little bit. But if survivors want to get those generators done, they get them done. There's nothing you can do. You would have to be goddamn lucky that you got more than 1 down before they got a single gen. But if you don't, well, then it snowballs out of your control. Not to mention any keys they bring, brand new parts, all this stuff. So, that's that, and that's where we stand. So the argument is misleading, because they're both arguing about this arbitrary house rule of what's considered a win, but that's where we gotta get into OddStarvas' video, because it's... I don't know why this video exists in a way to try to combat an opinion with an opinion, as if either opinion holds valid to a truth, right? So the fact is, to win in Dead by Daylight, as fact, it is the pip system. We can hate this pip system, which I know to God I do. I absolutely 100% do not agree it is how we should win the game. But it is not my place to tell the game what the rules are, so I have to accept that until we convince the developers that the pip system needs to change, Emblem System is our win. And if you do not get a ruthless or merciless killer ranking at the end of your game, you have lost. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna swap over here. I'm gonna play a little bit of OddStarvas video, which, to be fair, after I had watched this, it felt like OddStarvas had felt a bit attacked, and neither this nor anything else is meant to attack anyone, but to shed light that if this community really wants to come together and address real issues, it kind of needs to come together and find a middle ground, which is actually something he says in the video, but again, the whole thing is a little weird. So at about 16 seconds, he brings up the tweet, so we can just come here. And it's the Twitter post that fueled the whole thing. True talent. Food for thought. Doing 4K challenges and acting like they're wins hurts the understanding of the game and makes people use them as evidence the game is balanced or even in the killer's favor. Even though you can negate 66.66 repeating % of all the overall objectives to achieve this. That started it. On surface, this is actually not wrong at all. Like, at all. The 4K challenges were kind of a big problem. And I left Dead by Daylight. I walked away. I stopped talking about Dead by Daylight. I stopped researching and doing all the stuff for everybody in Dead by Daylight. Because honestly, I've said it all 100,000 times, and I am saying it yet again, standing before all of you. I'm back here saying the same thing I said years ago. So, that's not wrong. If a popular YouTuber is doing 4K challenges and calling them wins, but is not pipping, but he is saying that they are wins, it creates this mind amongst his fans that this player is winning, regardless if they pip or not, because these become what's called house rules, and you can make house rules with a lot of things. So, house rules are fine. You can play with however you want in a video game. That's up to you. That's your own prerogative. But you cannot say that what you're doing is the win by the game's condition, because that's wrong. That's not an opinion. The game's win condition was set via the Emblem System. And for us to say we change that, then we have to acknowledge by house rules, that's right, but that's not a de facto win. And to be fair, OddStarvas' 50 win streaks were not treated as if they were house rules. He treats them as wins, and you'll see that in this video. Alright, so next at 117. Like I said, we don't really need to play the whole thing, but if you do want to check it out, I will make sure I get you guys a link to check out all of OddStarvas' videos. Try to go past this. I think I actually wanted to hear what he said here at 117. There is something he says here that's kind of important.
We'll address that later, but...
Did I skip it?
Back to truce.
Nope. Okay.
Times in a row with the spirit, because they're...
I'm assuming that's Otofu's video, being it says Otofu, and he passively aggressively posted that in a way. But whoever's voice this is, I'm not familiar with it. Whoever's voice this is states that anyone could win with a killer because survivors are bad. And he just said that anyone could win with spirit 50 times in a row because survivors are bad.
Survivors are all bad.
I thought this was ridiculous, and we'll address that later, but...
That's not ridiculous. Depending on the win condition and everything, survivors are emphatically pretty bad at this game. And the reason for that is because we have more new players than we have veterans. It's not Tofu, because that's the search bar. But why is he talking about the 50 wins over the... Alright, yeah, like I said, it wasn't I just guessed it was. It wasn't really like... I'm not familiar with the voice or who that is. I don't know Tofu, so... in the end, that voice was not necessarily wrong. Majority of a killer's wins come from survivors being bad, but there's a further, deeper argument than that. In fact, I wouldn't even... Yeah, I'm unsure on who it is either, so we're not going to make active claims on who it is or who it isn't. I'm just going to say that someone got passively aggressively called out there for sure, but they were looking at Tofu for sure. Survivors not only play poorly in an optimized world of how they could finish these games really fast, but also we have something called the Tome now. And we've had the Tome for, a year and a half? And the Tomes kind of create these side objectives. And I play by these side objectives too, personally, because I just want to get the stupid Tomes done. And I can tell you I've gone into a game running a really bad perk to do a really stupid thing that I have to get done in a single trial and intentionally killing myself right after. So when that comes up and when that occurs, I wouldn't say that killer deserved the win because I was playing well. I just kind of fed them. And that was because the Tomes exist. So now we have to worry about these Tomes and whether or not people are playing for them, because half the Tomes are really suicidal and stupid. Especially for killer, it'll make you do stupid things. It'll force you to, like, my least favorite one, grab 2 survivors off the generator. So you know how I would handle that as a killer? I would beat everybody as badly as I could, and when I have that massive advantage, I would pick them up off the floor and let them go, and and hit a generator to show them I want them to work on this, and I will not kill them. Sometimes I just let them leave if they're kind enough to let me have my Tome, but again, it's mixed into normal gameplay. So Tomes have become a problem that nobody's ever really talked about, how it ruins the experience of the games. Because everybody's more or less just worried about their own house rules. And again, it's okay to have house rules and play by them. But you have to be very clear. You can't just say I'm winning and have house rules established and not really bring it, because... several people brought up to me when I returned, the very first thing was like, OddStarvas won with every killer or something like that 50 times in a row, holy crap. And I was like, that sounds impossible with the Emblem System. So they linked me his Leatherface video, to which then I went off that and I found the other ones. And all I had to do was go to the end of his match to see if it said ruthless, merciless, brutal, or displeased. And a lot of those games are brutal, not ruthless, which is a black pip. That's not a victory. So then, if you pay attention to the beginning of his video, he is clear in the beginning of the video, which is very good, that what he defines as a win is how he's like, this is what I consider a win. So he's established house rules, but somehow people are skipping over that part because the thumbnail just says wins. And the title just says wins, and everything else just says wins. But in the video, he even chapters it out, which is nice. He intros it and all his rules. But that's the important part. He set rules on what he determines as a win, but a lot of people watched it, and that went right over their heads. So I don't know what to say about that, other than that's the problem that True Talent seems to be bringing up, if you go back to the tweet. Doing 4K challenges and acting like they're wins hurts the understanding of the game, to which several people came to me after my return and asked me, well, if OddStarvas can win over 250 games in a row with 5 different killers are overpowered. And that is the precedent that got set, and that's the problem. It has nothing to do with hooks, it has nothing to do with kills. It has to do with the misguided understanding of the game. And this is what the devs balance things at. So, oi. It's kind of important. But as we go along with this conversation, a straw man argument begins, which is rough. And so I gotta defend True Talent on this one.
Back to True's actual point. Why are we ignoring 2/3 of the objective? The objective, according to True, is to get hooks, to get as many kisses as possible, get all the hooks in the world, which of course is 12. There's 4 survivors. Each survivor can be hooked 3 times. So ideally, in an ideal world, you would end the match with 12 hooks. And if you end the match with only 4 hooks because you just, you just kill everyone on first hook, then you're not really showing your true potential. You're not really playing the right way, and you're making it very easy for yourself.
So that's a straw man. I don't think the argument is represented properly. Due to that, like if I were to just look at this tweet, I don't get that out of this. To me, it does refer back to the Emblem System. I could be wrong that maybe True does have, that feeling that hooks are the only thing that matter, but again, I didn't reach out to True about that. I didn't ask him. I don't need to, because this food for thought's not necessarily wrong. There are 4 objectives in this game, and technically, this game does absolutely punish you if the killer hooks a survivor and that survivor never gets rescued. And it sucks, but that's a flaw. That's a flaw in the Emblem System, and that's a system that needs to be changed, because that's something that OddStarvas is not wrong about. You can't control that. If someone doesn't go for the save, there's nothing you can do. It's very possible that it's quiet. I'll turn it up for you guys. I'm sorry. It's loud in my ears, so I gotta be careful. And then yes, I'm gonna be way louder than this video. It's just based on my headset. My apologies. Normally we go over these things in an edited video and I can turn it up when I cut it in. The point being, though, is that pips are the defined way to win. And if we ignore that it's bad, and we don't address that as an issue, then it continues to exist as the defined way to win, and then it's never addressed, even though it's the only problem that could fix everybody's issue on how they view what a win was. So, is it possible for all 4 survivor and killer to pip in the same match? Yes, and that's another problem. So, I did sit with the devs 1 year on my first year into Dead by Daylight ever. I was recognized for my... I have no idea what I was recognized for. I just know I was recognized for DPD, I guess. But I sat down with Matthew McCoat, and he talked about Dead by Daylight and their design philosophy on how these things work. They've created what they call a soft win condition. And a soft win condition is something that you don't focus on too much, but you can define what a win is for yourself. And that's how they want people to play this game. And that's how the blood point system was meant to be. And that's how everything is meant to be. So when survivors got the doors open, it was about whether or not that survivor wanted to go back and make a save. And thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Let's see if it talks the thing. If it doesn't, I'll just say, I watched Otts play 24 games using all killers once. 2 total escapes. On average, 2 gens done per game. Most survivors are bad. 4-man, 4-gen, bullshit, BS Trapper. A lot of survivors don't play optimally. That's provable by what just watching. You can watch my games. If I ever dominate, you could definitely see where survivors could have maybe done a lot better. Sorry, my voice is gonna go in and out of here. Anyways, to my point. The issue here is the Emblem System. It's hot garbage. Yes, killer and survivor can indeed both win. And remember that survivors do not win as a team. They are each their own win condition, which is really, really stupid. Identity V is a great example of a game that changed that aspect. Identity V, when I played it, when it launched, had this team system. If 2 survivors died, I think it was 3 die, I forget. It was set up for a team though. It was all based on deaths and survives. So if only 1 survivor got out, that 1 survivor didn't win, he would get a later notification that your team lost and the killer won. Vice versa. If the killer made sure he killed 1 person, even that person that died still won and the killer lost. The big difference, though, is that they treat the survivors as a team in Identity V, and Dead by Daylight treats the survivor as their own thing. We can get into the ranking. The ranking system is a whole nother problem with the MMR system. There are so many problems that are coming up with this that come from the idea that win conditions can be flexible, which is a problem. Like I said, if we played Marvel vs. Capcom, Street Fighter, Smash Brothers, the winning is very fucking clear. In this game, it's not. You'll have people who are like, I got 4K, I won. You'll have people like, oh, I escaped even via hatch while my whole team died. We didn't even do all the gens. I won. Whatever you want to think is a win, unfortunately, if you didn't pip, you didn't win. So the straw man argument Otts puts up is that true talent believes that hooks are the only important thing. And I want to say, but I can't confirm, that true talent is following the emblem system, if anything. True talent is attempting to look at things in a way that prevents camping, makes things fun for everybody, if possible, because people don't like being camped, slugged, all that jazz, which technically that's what the emblem system was designed to do. But again, because it's designed in that way, it was fundamentally flawed because they allowed the survivors to control the killer side. Just like how when they took away Ruin, that was like the killer's only way to get light or gatekeeper. And when they took that away, there were fog whispers saying if you were good enough as a killer, you can stop that. But that's not true, because both True and OddStarvas will lose to a team worth their salt. So where did the whole, if you're a good killer, where's the best killer in the world that can make sure all of this stuff happens? But I don't see it. I don't know. I've never seen a killer able to prove me wrong after a year being gone. It didn't seem that, you know, these magically good killers came out of nowhere. No, it just seems that we got a whole bunch of new players that don't know what they're doing. We'll get to that in a minute. So, jumping to 1244. So he goes and he's like, I played with True's setup, and he got all 4Ks and a 2K with Blight, but I don't want to show the hooks. There we go. With that build up there, he played every killer, and these are the results. Unfortunately, and he does mention that he brings pips up, unfortunately, we'll never know if they were brutal kills, ruthless, merciless, or entity, because, well, I wasn't there. But the focus here is on kills and hooks, which are both important things to the emblem system, but now I don't know how much chaser he had. And I never will know, because this is just kind of like behavior stats, you know, kills and hooks. But, well, the context here is missing. And at 1244, he'll talk about balance. So even though he got 12 hooks, 4 kills, he still could have safetied at rank 1, which is a little bit ahead. It shows merciless, etc. Does he show merciless? I don't think he does. Does he? Average hooks per suicides. I'm not seeing it. But 1244, here's an important bit that even behavior kind of says this, and it's not how balance in these types of games work. Argument over on authority is always a bad argument, but I'm not going to say I'm right because I've gone through schooling for this. Understanding game mechanics is kind of my forte. It's what I'm good at. But we'll just play it.
4K's every game is not balanced. And honestly, I'm not even sure True, nor me, nor anyone else wants the game to be balanced. I don't think that's the case. For the game to be balanced, you should be getting 2 kills every game, on average. And
no, that's not balance. That's a loss. That's a loss on every game. On average, that is not balance, because the emblem system does not allow you to win with a silver emblem, and a silver emblem is 2 kills. You need 4 kills to get a gold. Balance in any video game ever does not have to do with the numbers and damage output being exactly 50-50. It has to do with, do both sides have equal opportunity to make interesting decisions that impact the outcome, which is where balance in fighting games come from. Some characters that are broken and super overpowered deny the opponent opportunities to respond. It has nothing to do with the outcome. If people are winning 25% as killer, but there were opportunities to do well, then that game is balanced. It does not matter the outcome. Jesus Christ, that's this is a danger. Equal opportunity is not the same as equal outcome. And that is a very important aspect to hold on to. The outcome of how many kills there are doesn't matter. Can the killer make decisions, and can the killer put an input that is always guaranteed for him to change the outcome? Which isn't true in the emblem system, because the gatekeeper is actually all on the survivor. It's survivor's input, and the lack thereof of input from survivor on generators is how a killer maintains his generators for 9 minutes. Now, of course, there will be small amounts of input, but it does not equal what survivors can do. And that's important. And that's why this whole thing's misleading. That's why this whole debate is pointless. The debate that everybody should be on ground level is, emblem system is flawed, and we don't like it. So we should argue against it, instead of ignoring it and making house rules. 2, the kills and the hooks are part of the emblem system. And on both sides, they each have a good say. OddStarvas states that you cannot, as a killer, get that person off the hook. So you should not be punished because that's out of your control. And that's true. You can't get them off the hook. Even if you never camped, even if you left them immediately, sometimes they just never will be saved. And that's a punishment to the killer's score, because that's the emblem system. But then again, it also punishes the survivors, kind of, just not at the rate it punishes the killer. And then True Talent's hook side is part of the thing. You need 9 of the 12 hooks. And if one survivor just yeets themselves out of the game, you're denied that. That's not your fault as killer. That wasn't equal opportunity. You did good, and you put the survivor on the hook. And then you are punished because the survivor said, fuck your score, and left the game. Well, if one survivor leaves, that's 1 hook. You missed out on 2 hooks, and you need 9. And if the survivor also bleeds out on the ground, you're totally denied the hooks on that. That's to also prevent you from slugging. So if the question of balance comes in, how this game would get balanced, and if we want this game to be balanced, yes, we absolutely want balance, but it just means that killers can put in input that change the outcome. So how do we define what is or is not a good killer? Well, we have no fucking clue, because some people think it's all about the kills, some people think it's all about the hooks, and some people look at the emblem system and just go, oh, we're fucked, we can't judge anything off this because the survivors are the real killers. Hence, Nia is the killer. Now, the survivors' emblem system is interesting. If you look at that, all of their input, all of it, is how they influence the outcome of their emblems. So, if you think about it, Lightbringer, you have to work on totems, generators, and you get rewarded. Let me show you something I find interesting. This is the emblem system, ladies and gentlemen, broken down into the fine numbers. Something I studied the moment it came out. I made videos of understanding every little detail and how to win this game. It kind of went ignored because a lot of people just didn't care about the emblem system because they just decided to go with it's too complicated, which to be fair. So, objectives. You get points based on every survivor gets points if a generator is completed. A person gets a point for every point of that generator they complete. So every charge they put in, they get a point back. And so as they're working on generators, they're getting points, and that's good. So they put the input that the survivors are going to get points. So that's how a survivor can secure that emblem. Killer can actually not influence that. Even if a killer regresses a generator, that just gives the survivor more opportunity to get more points. In fact, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea to let that killer pop goes the weasel it so you can get some more points by refixing it back up, because every second you're on it counts, even if you were already at 99. So, as a survivor, you get bonus points for the killer. Just keep that in mind. Survival. Oh, this one's weird. So survival's interesting. The only input the killer's really gonna get is that he kills you, and how fast he kills you, I guess. But, of course, as a good player on Survivor game for 9 minutes. That's it. That's all. You just have to be in game for 9 minutes. Now, if your whole team gen rushes the killer, and then he's got Noed, and then, like, camps your ass, and that was before 9 minutes, you're gonna end up with a bronze. And that sucks. But realistically, that's still on you. You aren't in the game for 9 minutes, but that's very clear as day. You will guarantee yourself that little silver right there as long as you are in the game for 9 minutes. To pip at red ranks, you need 13 points. That's gonna be 3 golds and an iridescent, which means if you get a silver, you need 2 iridescents. So, as long as you gen rush, you got iridescent Lightbringer. So, get a silver here and you'll have to just bring yourself up elsewhere. Altruism. This one's an interesting one. Pretty much, if you leave a survivor on the hook the whole time and they die without being saved, you lose benevolence. Makes sense. That's supposed to encourage the survivors to make those saves. But also, healing survivors, unhooking them safely, taking protection hits on them. You know, there's other ways to get your benevolence back. And you get so much of it so fast. I mean, really, benevolence is easy. You just heal other people. Easy money. So, survivors' input is, as long as they're healing, saving allies, they're getting points. But they don't have to. They don't have to. But they can, you know, just get a quick save, take a body block, boom. Silver, easy. Get one more save, boom, gold. Almost benevolent, you know. And then, especially if you're running Will Make It, and you heal them under the hook, that's like, geez, your points are going up through the roof. Through the roof. And then finally, Evader. The longer you run a killer without taking damage, the more points you get. Also, you don't even have to run the killer, but if you stand close to them without getting into a chase, you get stealth points. Did you know that? So just being around the killer scores you points in this emblem. So, if you got the doors open, you don't feel you got chased enough, just go get chased. You'll be fine. It's no biggie. You get points no matter what. Even if you go down, you get points. So just the more you interact with the killer, and especially if generators are being done while you're being chased, that gives you Lightbringer too, by the way. You don't even have to work on the generator. You get points in the basement. You get a whole bunch of points. And you get bonus points if it was super long. You get points for stunning the killer. You get points everywhere. So essentially, you can see the input here. You can see it. heal people, work on generators, be chased, and don't die. Boom. Your input creates an output, which is reflected by the emblem system. And then you get to the killer's emblems. I fucking hate this one. I believe it was calculated that you get 5 points if 5 generators remain after a minute. And they stop counting up points after 9 minutes. So keep that in mind. That's fucking insane. They expect, like, a lot of the points are accumulated per minute. And so you'll get a small boost of points at the beginning because it's impossible to finish. Well, it's very unlikely they'll finish a generator before a minute passes unless they're all on one generator. But at a minute and 20 seconds, they should have popped 3 gens. That puts you all the way from 5 per minute down to 2. You can't stop this unless they just don't work on the generators. A big thing I have seen, because I have gone through and I have watched every other streamer play this fucking game as killer, and the same outcome occurs. The survivors typically are too stupid to work up behind the killer's back. And what'll happen, even with me, is that when I chase one survivor, some other survivor is just going to be like running away, but running right nearby me for some reason and not working on anything. And that rewards me, because all he could have been doing was working on the generator, because you can only chase one person at a time. It doesn't matter what perks you run, you can only chase one. But the fact that lots of people like to run in groups, like roaches, like they all just scatter in the same exact direction, is that a reward for the killer being good, or is that just survivors being really stupid? When I see a killer come by and scare my compatriots off of the generator, and I'm not the one being chased, you know what I do? I go right back to that generator. And if the killer comes back and chases me off, well, my compatriot comes back and jumps on the generator. And then the two of us are just playing ping pong with the fucking generator, and 2 other people somewhere else are getting generators done. No matter what, as long as you don't let the killer chase more than 2 people, you'll be fine. So this is an input that killer can really not make, because even if the killer is running regression perks, it's not rewarding the killer for kicking generators, which would be an equal input. It's not rewarding the killer for an amount of regressed generator. No, it's holding on to those little generators like they're your children, and if they all pop too fast, you just lose this emblem. And so I've had a 4K, but they got the generators done in 2 minutes. 3 minutes and 50 seconds. They got the gens done in 3 minutes and 50 seconds. I was playing Myers on Rotten Fields. And the reason I got the 4K is because after they had opened the doors, I had tier 3'd and knocked all of them down, hooked them all, and they all died. I didn't pip, because this emblem was empty. I de-pipped, but I got 4K. Was that a win? No. They did stupid. They worked their asses off on the generators. Granted, they brought 4 brand new parts, and I got rushed to high hell. But it doesn't matter. Those survivors were worth their salt enough. They got 5 generators done within approximately 4 minutes. And as Myers, I was like, there's nothing I can do. So that's part of that equal opportunity. I don't have the input to change this. Here's a tiny input I get. So these are the sacrifices and hooks. This is your sacrifice category. 4 kills gives you gold. 3 is silver. That makes no fucking sense. To get iridescent, you have to do 9 hooks, hooked everybody at least once, and 4K'd them. Which, again, that at least hooked everybody once doesn't make money. But you need 9 fucking separate hooks, which, as OddStarvas says, is not up to the killer. So that's the equal input. There's not interesting opportunities for the killer to make input on this other than hook a survivor and pray to God that they come and make a save and that you tunnel and rehook, but they don't let go on the second time. You don't even have to tunnel them because they're likely running decisive strike, but take out the person who saved them, whatever. I don't give a shit. Point is, you just pray to God they make the save, or they don't die instantly, or you didn't knock all 4 of them down. Because if you did, there was a game that I was like, oh, I knocked them all 4 down, and I haven't even gotten a single hook. So what I did was I hooked 3 of them, and I let one go so he could save the rest. Do you want to know what that interesting outcome was for me? They fucking wrecked my face because they got a second chance. And I felt really bad letting that happen, but I was going to lose either way. So, in terms of equal opportunity and everything, it's not there. I fucking hate this one. This one is the same thing as the last one, just phrased differently. Essentially, instead of just getting multiple hooks, now you have to do multiple hits to bank these points. And so every time you injure a survivor, you get points. And every time the survivors heal, you lose those points. So you gotta keep hitting them. And so this encourages slugging and not tunneling any one person. So you knock them down, you deal the damage, and then you've got to hook someone to bank the points permanently so that they cannot heal. So it's really goddamn stupid. It's really goddamn stupid. Because this is just, did you use your power to insta-down them? Did you, because you don't want to expose down anybody. Because you lose points in this. So half of the killer's powers are actually not beneficial to them. They're beneficial for kills, but they are not beneficial for your emblems. So any Hillbilly, Leatherface, Ghostface, Myers, anybody who skips a whole health state, if you grab a survivor off a generator, anything, if you are not hitting them twice, you are not getting value. So unless you're letting them heal, you're not getting value. And therefore, no interesting input you can put here. Why do you lose points? Because you have to try to bank the points by hooking us. If you hook a survivor, you bank the points you score. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it works. Points are awarded for each time a survivor is hooked, but it's lost when they're healed. But they can't heal when you bank those points and take that many points. It is really stupid. It's stupid, okay? It's stupid. Chaser. This one is the worst emblem, because you wouldn't think it's the worst emblem, but it's the worst fucking emblem in the history of mankind. The math I did a long time ago states that in order to get an iridescent emblem, you have to get what's called 28 perfect hits. A perfect hit is this right here. Within 0 to 15 seconds, you have to strike that survivor. Strike them. So yeah, that includes the second chase after you've already strike them once. Then you have to do it again to count that as a perfect hit. And if that even dares goes above the 15-second, well, now you've lost a third of your points. Holy shit. And then it doesn't get so bad. But you need 28 of these for iridescent. That's like really fucking bad. Because anyone, again, worth their salt, and that's always going to come back to. If you got a survivor that you walk right up to, 90% of the time, they likely are being ballsy with sprint burst, and then they're just going to run away. Now, if you hit someone with an insta-down, it skips a health state. It doesn't matter if you drop them from healthy to nothing. That counts as one hit, and if you did it with the chainsaw and the chase had started, let's say you down someone in 15 seconds with the chainsaw, well, you fucked yourself out of half your points. Because you downed them too fast. And then you fucked yourself out of half the points up here because you downed them too fast. This emblem system for killer was meant to make everything nice for survivor. And instead of all the YouTubers coming together of like, wow, that does not make fucking sense. This rewards survivors 100%. That's all the killer side is for. And nobody's, where are the fog whisperers at rising up against this? Nowhere. Nobody talks about this. I haven't heard shit about this. In fact, the only things I heard is Emblem System's stupid, I don't follow it. That's all I've heard. From viewers, from people DMing me, from a whole bunch of stuff. It's like, holy fuck. So I can see why OddStarvas has made house rules. Because, to be honest, no sane man likes this emblem system, right? I don't think anyone would, but if you do, please tell me. I hate this system, but no matter how much I hate the system, I cannot deny that it is our win condition. Oh, we got a chat coming in. Hang on. I'll let it fly out and then I'll talk about what you say. Just give it that's a little delayed. I don't know why. but I'll write this down. So I'll also jump into my, because I think we're good done looking at all that. We'll just stare at this screen for a hot minute. Maybe jump into the game, right? Come on, thing, do your little magic. Okay, it's not gonna do the magic. As soon as I say something. Oh, love this effect. Is my favorite thing I've ever found ever. I think we should also ask Scott Jin's view. Scott mentions that even the developers say their pip system is broken, don't necessarily equal a win. At 6:15 in the video, is there merit to that? Well, I don't know. Because like I said, I sat down with the devs myself and I talked to them as well. So if this gives him any merit, they told me that they consider the game to have what's called a soft win condition, which is they kind of want people to have their own home rules on what a win is. Dead by Daylight is only focused on fun. Not your fun, not my fun, just fun. Somebody's fun out in the world. And so I don't know. Nurse Main here, 28 perfect hits, no problem ever. Yeah. I don't know what the devs really want out of this because it makes no goddamn sense. Hence why I left this game so long ago. I was tired of the high school cliques that have formed here because this game has no fucking direction, which sucks. Because everybody's like, oh, you know, I'm the best, I get 4Ks all the time, but then they don't pip. But then you get the guy who always fucking pips because he knows how to exploit the system using getting 28 perfect hits with Legion, which is, I didn't even mention that, but yeah, Legion can get 28 perfect hits really fucking easy because he can just do some stupid shit. Yes, his power does count as hits, and you can hit someone twice in a row. So if all the survivors are near each other, you just smack them real fast, and boom, you're getting perfect hits all the time. And then you can hit the survivor again, even though it doesn't hurt them, it counts as a hit, and boosts your malicious, and boosts your points, and it's so fucking broken. Do the devs know their pip system's broken? Probably. I don't think they're stupid. I think the behavior devs have capitalized on something and lost focus on giving this game a clear win because that's what they want. They don't care that this game does or does not have a win condition, which is why if competitive ever rises up in this game, a win condition has to be set by the tournament. And so the whole like point system that tournaments put together, it makes the game balanced because the way that they do it gives both sides equal opportunity to score those points, and the team that can score those points most effectively is the best in that tournament. And so that's how it all works. That's how this all breaks down. So instead of everyone fighting each other, as OddStarvas said, I really wish we weren't, fighting over this and had common ground. We have common ground. We do. And you don't even have to agree with it. It's just fact that the pip system is the win condition. And you might hate it. I know to goddamn hell I hate it, but I cannot deny that it's the win condition. When we go into the end screen, it says ruthless, brutal, displeased entity, or merciless. Those are the win screens. Victory, perfect, lose, and it's exactly how it's done. I don't know, that's why I'm asking how a chase... Okay, so a chase starts without killer initiating it. How the chase works is if the survivor is running in view of the killer, it creates the sound that the chase music starts, and that's your thing. So being that I've described the best I can a common ground between these two that they could easily come to terms with and stop arguing and debating over house rules, let's instead address the problem, which is the real win condition. Let's actually come together and go to the fog whisperers that are the middle people between us and the devs and the community manager and be like, look, this doesn't work and it has never worked and all of us hate it and it's driving us bonkers. And let's provide a solution to fix it. For killers, maybe reward the killers for kicking a generator for breaking a pallet. Why not? And get away from the killer needs to do 12 hooks. To be honest, The killer shouldn't be punished if a survivor disconnects, doesn't get saved or anything. I understand that the purpose of that whole existence is to stop camping, and I hate to say it, but camping's a viable strategy when the 3 little roaches of survivors are just circling the hook, and they're just waiting to get that bait. That's not fair to the killer to be like, listen, killer, you gotta walk across the other side of the map and don't look back. Don't you dare come back and try to, get this person back on that hook. I swear to God, we'll decide to strike you like no tomorrow. The point is, the reason camping, tunneling, and all that exists is because this is just a convoluted game of cat and mouse, and that is unfortunately how we play the game. So at some point, the community has to come together. And I mean community. If any single one of us disagrees, and one of them's a fog whisperer, or, in cahoots with good friends of the devs, it definitely just defeats the conversation we could be having to fix a few things. And who are the fog whisperers? The fog whisperers are located on the Dead by Daylight website. I don't have the link on hand. Polyester is a fog whisperer. He's a really respected guy that I like very, very much. He's definitely a fog whisperer who's really good. He doesn't normally get into these kind of debates and stuff. He's a wholesome guy. Would never in my life expect him to get hot-headed like myself. I think Poppers is also a fog whisperer. But again, Poppers is a really charismatic, wonderful human being. And I don't expect him to get into analytics of video games, but he could definitely tell you things he does not like. And I could gamble, maybe. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I could gamble that he doesn't like the pip system either, as killer, for sure. For sure. In fact, I don't know. Is he? I haven't seen. I heard a lot of people have been removed off Falcazor. So, there's one more thing I really do want to address, though, and that's OddStarvas one more time. I actually went through this, so I thought I might as well bring this up. Again, none of this is an attack on OddStarvas or him as a person or anything, but here's some examples of the whole it's unhealthy to pretend that these challenges are wins when they are just house rules. So I went through a couple of his games, and you don't have to watch the whole thing. But, shout out to OddStarvas. Go check out his videos. He's got a lot of these. In his games, he does set his rules, so you just got to pay attention. He is very, very upfront about it. It's not like he tries to hide it, but it's the fact that, he's not hiding it, but you at least have to enter in with the idea that you're going to listen to the first few bits, which don't have gameplay videos. And if there's anything I've learned about this community, is if you don't have gameplay videos, I just do this. And, that's gameplay video. Now we're just watching the game. I don't know about these rules, but he'll consider whatever a win. This cannibal one was the first one that anyone's ever brought up to my attention to please review. So what I did was I was like, okay, he's got 3 games here, and he says he won 50 in a row. So I have to assume he took his 3 favorite games, uploaded them here, and he did the rest of the 47 on live Twitch TV, and you can likely go check it out. And this is match number 1. So throughout this, again, he did a fantastic job of setting up chapters, and I can just skip to the end here. He got ruthless. Without looking at his emblems, he got ruthless. So he won. He won his first game. But there's something else I want to see. We don't need to listen to anything. It's just something I want to see. And it's this here. Do we see the emblems? And does he review the emblems? He skips them and doesn't even care. That's important. Because there's another problem coming up called the MMR system, which rates you on your skill of the game. And your skill should reflect on your wins. And your wins should be the pip system. It's basic for any game. If you're going to have an MMR system, it has to be based on how many times you win. And if your wins are the pip system, because that's what they put it in here for, and if the pip system is not your wins, I don't even know why the fuck it exists, let's be honest, right? So if it's not even being reviewed, how do we know he did good? I don't know what he did good in. I don't know if his gatekeeper was good. I don't know. He didn't get merciless, so he wasn't perfect. So I can't review it. He doesn't care. It's clear. So that's fine. So I was like, okay, so but as long as I could see ruthless, you know, he's winning them all, right? So let's try to catch this one right here. I think it's gonna clip over quick. Oh, brutal. Brutal means black pit. So he lost. Technically. Per the pip system, he did not go up in rank. He flatlined, but he didn't get a pip. So that's, oops, pressed a button I shouldn't have. That's a loss. But in that game, he had killed 3 people, and likely the last one took at the hatch. And per his rules are, you can get 3 kills. If the survivor takes the hatch and leaves, it doesn't count as a loss because that's a free win for the survivors, yada yada. He's just focused on being an efficient killer. But there's something else to look at here, right? 4, 6, 11, and 7. Do you want to know? You can call it a tie, but if you look at any ranking system, which there rarely is ever a tie in any ranking system, the only reason they put a tie in the ranking system is just you didn't lose so bad that you don't lose your rank. So you still lose, you just don't go down in rank, which is very possible to do in other league systems. So, for example, in League of Legends, if you play against a player who is much higher than you, but you perform okay, you actually don't lose any ELO or MMR. You actually sit where you're at. The only person who is at risk is the person you're playing against. So, there's no real such thing as a tie. It's a loss because you didn't win. You didn't tie either. The survivors could have won. So, in turn, the other thing to keep in mind are these ranks. Because again, the ranks, and OddStarvas brought it up, 5,000 hours in a video game versus people who don't have 5,000 hours in a video game. But he's playing against him. It's part of these wins. But it's kind of like misleading. Because he won by his terms, and he considers it a win, he says, I won. But if I look at this, you didn't win, you lost. And you lost because I can tell you, I think I watched this one. He sawed them all. His chaser was really bad because he got a lot of saws. And he did good. But, you know, again, to me, he did good as from a killer to a killer. He didn't do bad at all. I didn't expect. But to me, he did too efficient, which is a problem I've been trying before I even quit the game to tell everybody that, like, being too efficient is actually bad in this game. And that's a problem in a win system. Because if I am the best player in the world, I better be slapping all these players out of the game as fast as possible. That's just in my mind. But here's another thing. So he uploaded 3, right? So maybe his third one's not too different, right? Oh, we skipped it. You could definitely tell it's a little hard to... Brutal, again. So we're on his 3rd game. This is his 3rd match in. He got brutal. So right off the bat, his streak, per his win conditions, he kept. But it's misleading, misguided. And there's more to bring in terms of, like, these house rules and how they function. Because, and he actually got some good survivors. There are 3 of them are red ranks, so, you know, that's saying something. He wiped them all. He wiped them all out. But it's a question of, because he's playing by his rules, did he really win? Or by the game's rules, he isn't winning in that way. Doge, I love you to death. I get Joe Mama, but chill out. Now, there is something to look at the Ghostface one. There are a lot of games in this one. And again, remember when I said that Ghostface, Hillbilly, Leatherface, when they use these insta-downs, you lose points in your win. So a lot of the time in which he gets these 4 kills, he takes people out without mercy, which is something I would expect out of a killer. But unfortunately, because he has no mercy, and he's using these exposed abilities, I think in one, he even gets tier 5 Devour Hope and just starts mooring people. Do I only stream at 2 a.m.? Only when I'm sick and my schedule's flip-flopped, but no, sometimes I stream normal times. But in a couple of these games, the one I really want to focus is 41. Because this was... I'll give the context for this game. This game feels bad for him. They brought a key. And they found Hatch. And they used that to get out. That's the only reason 2 people got out. And you're going to see what I mean in terms of... So, oh shit, we went too fast. I have this on 2 times speed. So he's chasing the last person. The other 2 use the key, and he kills this person, hooks her. I didn't even check if she was dead on her. Okay, he got an entity displeased. If you saw that for the half second, it was there. So she's gonna heal. Let's go through this. I'm gonna try to pause it so it says entity displeased. But you know, this is where house conditions came in as well to change the outcome of what was or was not a win. So even if we want to talk about Brutal not being a loss, like, he did get a loss. And it's because they brought a key. Nasty little bugger, right? And that's a straight up loss. But however, because they brought the key, and because they used the key before the generators were completed, he did not count that as a loss. It was an additional rule that I think was brought up mid-game. But it was a rule that he had, again, house ruled in. But in a normal game, that key was valid. And unfortunately, he lost a pip, and that was a loss. And that should be addressed. That is a fucking problem. The fact he was punished for them bringing a key, and they got the generators down far enough where the hatch would spawn, and they can use the key to get out, multiple of them, is bad. Yes, a merciless victory is it's equal to a perfect in a fighting game. Like, you can get a victory in a fighting game, you know, and it's just a V check mark, but then you get a perfect. That's your merciless win. That you did everything perfectly. So I don't know. I'm not worried about whether he got 50 wins. I'm just trying to bring up the argument that it's kind of harmful to the conversation of balance if it's touted that these losses are wins, but not openly house ruled in. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't say house rules. It says 50 win streak. As a lot of viewers came straight to me and said, he's won 50 games in a row on several killers. But I go through these and I find he's lost a lot of these games, mostly because, not because he did bad, but because he's not fighting for a real win condition. He's just killing people and focusing that first and foremost. Do certain items exacerbate the problems with the game's balance? Absolutely they do. Keys, I wouldn't say were super unbalanced because we equally had Moris, but then they decided to nerf Moris and not the keys, and that was a really, really stupid thing to do. And then they did nerf the brand new parts, which was a much needed thing, when you could go into a game and all of you pop a generator instantly and get the last one done, or do one together and then pop 4 more at the same second. Like, everybody technically loses that game because nobody got enough emblems. But nobody cared because, again, the survivors didn't care about those types of wins. They just wanted to leave. Remember what the old Moris were like? When you downed somebody, you just killed them. You didn't have to hook them or anything. Then if there's no real system judging wins and losses by, why even call them wins or losses? That's true. See, that's true. No, I actually don't blame him at all. I don't blame him at all. In fact, I have the same mentality as him. I go into the games just trying to kill 4 people. When True Talent said that most streamers play for the 4K, yeah, we do, because to be honest, this is a convoluted system that does not give survivors the input that, or the killers the input that is a deserving output. It doesn't matter how good you do. But if the pip system is so broken, why are none of us fighting to change it? Like, well, there could be a petition of everybody signing and being like, look, your pip system's ass, for killers specifically. Can you fix it, please? And, it does cause the problem that there is no healthy discussion. And that's the problem I think True Talent was trying to say, which OddStarvas disagrees with, because OddStarvas has really put himself into the position of, you know, his house rules are his wins. In the end, oh yes, just because ignoring pips is easier doesn't make it right, though. It doesn't make it right. But anyways, overall, I think the system is so terrible we ignore it. And the common fix that could come about is finding a way not to make it 2 kills, 2 survives, but instead to give both sides equal input that provides equal output. So if I'm doing really good as a killer, it should show on my victory in some way. And obviously, protecting generators is not something in the killer's prerogative. I mean, like, yes, the killer would like to protect the generators, but we know that's not feasible in a 1 versus 4. Unless survivors are really dumb, which most of them are. How long have you been playing Dead by Daylight? Yeah, since release. I have 3,000 hours and I quit like 3 times. Yeah. So, I don't have 5,000 and I'm happy I don't. I played Resident Evil Resistance, which had a clear win condition. I played Death Garden, had a clear win condition. I played last year, clear win, like so many fucking games with win conditions. And it was much better for me in those games, but of course those games were not as popular as this, so, you know. I'll take any questions that anyone has. I'll provide any answers, and then... So we quitting again at 4,000? That's the new goal. No, but if you guys have any questions, rebuttals, state them now so that I can address them. Most of this time it was just me talking about the systems and our common ground, but now let me hear from the viewer's perspective how you want. Did you see the True Talent video on his YouTube on hooks or kills? I did not. We would have to look into that after the fact of this. I did this primarily for response to OddStarvas' debate over hooks and kills. And that's mostly, yes, there will be, this is going to continue to exist after we're done. So that'll be a thing. But in terms of like what True Talent said, I can look into it and figure that out. Do you think it'd be better if DBD adopted Identity 5's condition of 3 kills equals win? It would be healthier and would match what we did, but we had that already called the Victory Cube, and they abandoned that. So, because people camped, and they're trying to promote people to not camp, so that's why. Are these debates reaching the devs' ears? Though between those two, no. Between True Talent and OddStarvas, it doesn't matter. That's why the debate is misleading and the debate goes nowhere. It doesn't affect the game in any way, unfortunately, because they're arguing about a soft win condition. It's ugh. I'm gonna try to answer these. It's going pretty fast. Sorry. Don't survivors also have an emblem system they have no control of? No, we actually just went over that bit by bit, and I actually showed you why survivors have control over every bit of their emblem, whereas killers only have control over about 1 or 2. 1.5 of their emblems. Do you think they should completely rework the rank system or remove it completely? They need to rework the win condition is what needs to happen, and they need to have a victory condition for the killer, not so much for the survivors. If they stated more of a win condition rather than bad emblem system, would you prefer 4K win condition or doing all the past medals and best instead of kills if forced to choose the 2? I would like an emblem system, to be honest, because this type of game does reward the emblem system type thing, but for the killers, very specifically, only the killers' emblems are really bad. So if they changed it so that like every time a killer damaged things or did things that moved them towards torture and hope, which is the whole lore of the game, you know, it would make sense to me, and, you know, showing progress in the midst of the game of, like, how good I'm doing because, you know, I broke all the pallets on the map, I've knocked down survivors nonstop, I've spread blood, whatever. Like, all that kind of stuff is actually very important to me, so. Do you think that Survivors gameplay got dumbed down? I think it's been about the same ever since. In fact, the original gameplay on Survivors in terms of, like, their win condition used to be blood points. Nah, I'd say it's a little more complicated nowadays. So, problem is that there is no rank rewards. That's not true. There's several games that don't reward you based on your rank. The point of rank is to separate you from the new players. That's typically the basis. Everybody who's fighting for rank rewards, that I've never seen that in any game. Usually having a high rank is the reward itself. I don't normally go into a game and go, I want to be low rank, you know? But of course in this game, for some reason I do. Do you think it's better for people to play in the way that they enjoy? I agree the victory is broken, but people enjoy winning in different ways. I mean, people can play games for any way that they want, but I would not like to play Street Fighter and, like, whoop a guy's ass, and then he was like, well, I threw out more Hadoukens than you, so I won. And even though he had fun doing that, and that was his win condition because he set that for himself, it's not a... It's a really stupid way to allow opinions to say how we win. And it's kind of like a participation trophy for everybody. When you play a versus game, not everybody is going to win. Somebody's feelings are going to be hurt, and that's just how it's got to be. I always thought the entity rewarded killers more for hooking rather than murdering them. It's both. Whew. Oh boy, I got it through. I'm sorry if I missed any questions. Just repost your question. If I skipped over it, please do tag me so I can see the tag and then get over it. I do apologize. I'm a little sick. I'm not going to have a voice tomorrow, so I'm glad I'm getting this out. If I wait by an open hatch, am I toxic? Kinda. Why you wait and just get the game over with? I think emblems should only affect your BP, and whether or not you win should be an entirely different system. Well, you already have a system that affects blood points, and you don't need the emblems for that. And the emblems never affected blood points. The emblems were the separation from the blood point victory system. So another system, then just get rid of the emblems and come up with a whole new system. That would be the counter argument there. Do you believe that the actions such as the rainbow keys and that end the game suddenly, which penalize medals of both sides, should be force players to do their best to earn each medal? I think keys just should do something different, or maybe the hatch just should not exist until either one survivor remains or all the gens are done. Giving the survivors a way out before gens are done is an absolutely abysmal tool. Keys need to be reworked, for sure. First off, hello, Mr. Shifty said. Secondly, what type of change would you like to see made to generators? Nothing. I want the win condition change. Generators are already abysmal to work on as a survivor, and people are already too stupid to work around ruins, so I hate that already. I've evaded the killer the whole game and never saw them, but I got punished for not seeing them. Yep, I think stealth was an absolutely terrible emblem that they added in, so you have to kind of go force yourself to get chased if you want to get that emblem. It sucks, but that's the route they took. You know what I don't get? Why is the emblem reward in XP a total of 12 insane experience points? That's their own balance on how they do the experience. The profile level really doesn't even matter. It's just aesthetic. But like, who cares what the person says, you know? Plus, yeah, this debate won't matter. Everyone hated the HUD and they forced that on us. Something split won't get changed. Well, no, because they did change the HUD. They made the HUD a little more tolerable. They do listen to us. They have made changes before.